Hello, this is Martin O'Brien from the Association of Optometrists Ireland. Welcome Massimo Revelli, who is the new president of the European Council of Optometry and Optics, ECOO. And Massimo has served 2 years as president-elect, and only last week was elected president. So congratulations and welcome to this conversation, Massimo. How are you today?
Thank you very much, Martin. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here and talk to our Irish friends. I'm very happy with it. I'm doing fine, and I hope the same to you. Although in this period it's tough. It's very tough with the COVID. It's a nightmare, really.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm all right.
Good. And we're after having some restrictions here in Ireland, but Italy had a very hard time. Massimo is an optometrist in Italy, and this is a time where across Europe COVID has hit not just optometry but society very hard. And we would love to have had Massimo come and visit us in Ireland. So it's great to do this via the internet.
Yeah, that's great. Luckily we have internet.
Yeah, where would we be without it? So tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, Massimo.
Well, okay. I was born in northern Italy many years ago. Well, 67 years ago. And my father was in the army, so I traveled quite a lot in Italy. And I had my university studies in Florence, where I still live. Now I live close to Florence, but just 10 minutes by car. And I graduated in mechanical engineering. And my life started as a mechanical engineer. I worked for GE Oil and Gas, and I was there a proposer and project manager for the big plants on the platforms. Then I switched to Alcatel Telecommunication, where I was, I become, at the end of my career, I become director of the expert division for the telecommunication cable networks. So I was very happy, but then, as sometimes happens, life, you need to change something. So I decided to become an optician. I went back to school. That was not many years ago, so I was a bit old to do that, but I decided to do it. And I became an optician. So as you know, our friends might not know that optician in Italy is, let's say, according to WCO, actually is the first degree of optometrist. We are not just dispensing optician, we are refracting optician. So, so after that, I've decided to continue my education with the CET courses to get closer and closer to what an optometry is. I don't know whether I succeeded or not. I hope so, especially, dealing with pediatric optometry. And this brought me to be part of the project Bimbo Visione, which means child vision in Italy, which is a very interesting project because it's a project dedicated to the schools, mainly to kindergarten and to primary school, where we actually explain to teachers and parents, not to the children, all the details about differences between vision and sight, all the sight and vision problems, posture problems, pen handling, and all these kind of things, so that they can check directly with the children whether they are having problems, and then bring them to an optometrist to have a visit and to try to overcome the problem. We've done this in 41 provinces, and roughly we have dealt with 2,500 parents and almost 6,000 teachers. So it's very important. Of course, there are training courses for the colleagues that carry on this this job, and behavior protocol, and everything is done very, very carefully by Federottica of Italy. Then, after that, I was asked by Federottica to join, well, to become actually the delegate for international affairs. So this is what brought me to ECOO. And after a while, well, I was in the PSC, which is the Professional Service Committee, when you were a chairman of that committee. And so I enjoyed that very much. And then I was asked whether I was interested in becoming president of ECOO. I was actually, and I decided to start this new job, which is tough but really interesting. And at the same time, of course, I've become also a member of the board of directors of the WCO, the World Council of Optometry, and member of the WCO Public Health Committee. So, but this is, let's say, something that comes across together with being ECOO's president. That's more or less my history. So,
one of the first things that you presented with the Professional Services Committee at ECOO was a report on the Bambino Vision project, which was really interesting. And one of the things which was very useful with that project was the link with educating the teachers, not just the children and the parents, about the importance of vision. And the examination was important, but that public health information and the benefits of eye examination was something that carried on past the child's age. Isn't that right, Massimo?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, we had also some, let's say, good results even from the project, because in the University of Turin, they made a study on a classroom and with the control group to try to see whether actually there was a good result. And it was confirmed that posture was absolutely ameliorated, and also in the class, the situation was much better than in the control group where nothing was carried on. So, and this is very important because it helps you also for your teenage, etc., to do the proper things, because it's something that helps you to avoid or to limit, not to avoid, but to limit the sight problems and the vision problems.
That's very interesting. And as your role now with ECOO as president, you'll be president for the next 2 years. And as you mentioned, you will also be involved at the World Council of Optometry level. Is there anything in particular that you have an interest in as we move forward? For example, at ECOO, the medical device regulation is something which is going to become very important for people across Europe in the optometry and optics professions.
I was going to mention this. Thank you for this, for mentioning. Yes, there are several items that are very important. We have vision and driving, for instance. We know that in many countries in Europe, the vision is not checked when you are about to get a driving license or renew your driving license. I was astonished by that. I thought in Italy we were having big problems because we are not involved as optometrists or opticians, because there's a special, let's say, I don't know how to call it. Special doctor is called monocratic doctor that has to carry on this visit. And so I thought we were having a big problem, but I found out that in many countries in Europe, nothing is done actually. So, but the one you mentioned, the MDR, is the main point, and it's going to be my, let's say, main job for these 2 years, these 2 coming years, because the new medical device regulation is very, very different than the previous one. We are discussing about mainly 2 items from our point of view, which are contact lenses and spectacles, or prescription glasses, as you want to call them. And especially in this second item, there is not a common position by all the members, but the main point is that we have to try to get a good result. The prescription glasses before were considered custom-made device in most of the countries. Now they are talking about a new definition, which is adaptable medical device, which personally I don't like very much, unless a definition is made properly. Because custom-made device is one thing, adaptable medical device is something different. But apart from that, we have to look very close to this item, and we have 2 persons that still go to the meetings, although the meetings are of course virtual, which are Fabienne Eckert, our Secretary General, and Peter Gumpelmeier, which was the immediate past president, and now is becoming a treasurer of ECOO, and he's very well prepared on all these items. And of course, the contact lenses is the other nightmare. There are problems also with contact, not directly. Most of the problems are with the manufacturers, with the producers, but we also have problems because it will be a problem to modify the contact lenses. If you are an optometrist that carry on the modification by himself, you might face big problems with the new MDR, because in that case you could be almost considered a manufacturer, and this is something you don't want to be considered. It's going to be very, very difficult to do all the tests that are supposed to be done. So this is something really really tough, and we have to work quite a lot on that.
And early in the MDR process, the view of the profession wasn't really being considered at all. And it was definitely some hard work by definitely Peter Gumpelmeier and Fabienne at the ECOO Secretariat to get the profession recognized and to have the views of people who are going to be implementing things on the ground. Because one of the primary activities of any optometrist or optician in Europe is in prescribing and selling spectacles and prescribing and selling contact lenses. And effectively something which will cause extra paperwork or extra administrative burden on that is something that will have a massive impact on the ground. And that's why ECOO is such an important thing for all optometrists and dispensing opticians, to make sure that we have a pan-European voice that's speaking on our behalf.
Absolutely, absolutely, Martin. I share your consideration 100%. Another problem, we are now dealing with ESCO. ESCO is something from the European Commission that takes care of the translation of most of the definitions. Now, we found, I mean, Fabienne herself, she found a terrible mistake. For instance, in Italian, there was a translation of ophthalmic optician was translated in the Italian word ophthalmology, which is ophthalmologist, which is absolutely wrong. And we found many mistakes. The problem is that they say, but this is the translation. And we say, yes, but the translation implies a different role. So we have to adjust. So this is another point that we are going to follow very closely, because also this could lead to mislead, could lead to misleading in the single country, you know, when you have this translation. And well, another item where we entered was the Essilux acquisition of Grand Vision. which is something that we have to consider quite seriously, because it may affect our role of optometrists and opticians in Europe. And also in this case, we've done, I would say, a good job in showing which is our consideration of such a big merger.
So for the Irish members who may not be fully aware, SLR in the last little while have gone on quite an aggressive acquisition trail, and the merger with L'Otticheria was something that was considered at European level because it was one of the largest frame manufacturers merging with one of the largest lens manufacturers, and also SLR have quite a large portfolio of online stores as well. And the latest acquisition that the new body, which is known as Essilux, is a large chain of optical practices called Grand Vision, which I think it's across Northern Europe mainly that the Grand Vision chain operates. So that would then leave a very tightly integrated vertical chain from frames, lenses, examination, retail, and online. So, and that's why it has competition impacts across the entire European market. And ECOO has been monitoring that and basically working on behalf of optometrists and dispensing opticians across Europe to make sure that the concerns of the profession are heard when this merger is being considered by the competition authority at European level. So that gives an illustration of the kind of work that's being done. And it's really important for professions across Europe that we have a strong voice. And Massimo, taking over now as president, will be working closely with the executive team and with Fabienne Eckhart, who is based in Brussels, who is the Secretary General of ECOO. So it's very important to have a voice actually in Brussels. Would you agree, Massimo?
Absolutely. It's of the highest importance to have a voice in Brussels. We got to be present at the highest number of commissions we can. And luckily, the structure of ECOO to have a president-elect, president, and immediate past president is absolutely very useful, so we can share all our presence in the commissions. And and then Fabienne Ecker, the Secretary General, she's doing an amazing job together with Anna Maria Nia. And so ECOO is going to be definitely absolutely present in Europe. And this is the base for the national associations then to have their position and have a stronger position in their national situation. And what else? Of course, we all know that optometry is getting more and more important, especially in Europe, where the waiting list that we are having in every country. I'm surprised again. Very often, as Italian, we consider ourselves being not the last, but not the first in Europe. But I found out that it's very common all over Europe. So we have wait lists for people seeking for eyes tests and eyes examinations. And now the solution exists and is use the optometrists all over. And this is something that we have to try to push as hard as we can in all the commissions where we can participate. So, and then of course we still have to have a recognition of optometry in some countries, and if not the recognition in other countries, we still have to work to obtain maybe a regulation of optometry. So we still have some work to do, but mainly it's for the benefit of the European citizen to have optometry strong and helping to solve the vision problems.
And this is something we see in Ireland as well, that optometry is one of the, and ophthalmology referrals into hospital for eye care is one of the longest waiting lists that is measured. It's routinely either top or second of all the specialities. And there are various bottlenecks whereby people could have follow-up examinations, monitoring of stable conditions in the community, like the award-winning scheme that the Association of Optometrists Ireland ran in Sligo. If these were rolled out across the country, it would stop people having to attend hospital eye departments and be seen in the community. And there is a role for optometrists to be, as healthcare professionals, to be utilised by the government and by national health programmes to try and relieve the burden. And particularly now, as we see COVID causing even more pressure, and anything that can be an escape valve or to release steam from the system is useful.
Absolutely. During the COVID pandemic, especially in the months of March and April, in Italy, as you mentioned, it has been very, very bad. And we were having, we remain open, although with a shorter time frame, but people coming desperate because they had any problem and they would come. They didn't know where to go because they couldn't go to the hospital, or to go to the hospital, they had to call them first, and then maybe they would go there after 1 week or else. So it's absolutely true, especially during this period, and it's coming back apparently all over Europe. So.
And you mentioned about recognition of the profession. One of the things, and one of the lasting, I think, legacies of ECOO will be the European Diploma in Optometry, and the massive work done by people like Bob Chappell and Adrian Jennings, who interestingly spent a small bit of time as head of DIT in Dublin. But the work of those two gentlemen and the team around them in the board of examiners and the ECOO executive to have first of all, the European Diploma created in the first place, and then the process of mutual recognition whereby different universities across Europe are now awarding the European Diploma in Optometry concurrently with their own qualification, and to see that recognized then by some countries as a viable standard for practice. So I think that's a big change over the last 10 years, and I think that's a really important thing as well, Massimo.
I agree with you. It's one of the most important things, because we could have really a diploma, which is recognized all over Europe, and so anyone could go and work in every other country. So this would be fantastic, and then we're going to push again. We have now changed a little bit the structure and of the board to have something that works in an easier way and faster way, and we will push quite a lot to get to the recognition as much as we can. Of course, many countries, we know, they would always ask for some kind of let's say exam or something like that, because in their law they have some limitation when you come from a different country. But as far as the recognition, is very important to push on that.
And now, in parallel with the Optometry Diploma, there is a work stream to create a European Diploma in Optics for the optician or dispensing optician level of practice, level 1, level 2 on the WCO scale of competencies. And that's another area where ECOO is pushing on behalf of the professions in Europe as well.
Yeah. The European qualification in optics started more recently, but is already ongoing. Also, in this case, it'll take some time, but it may help quite a lot again to have a recognition all over Europe.
So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to speak to us today, Massimo. I know everybody's busy at a time like this, and just after the election, it's a very, very busy time for you. So thank you for speaking to the members of the association here in Ireland. And we hope that if things go well, we were meant to have the European Academy and ECOO come to visit us next year, but that's been postponed to 2022. So you'll still be president just about, I think, for the spring assembly in 2022. I think that's to be the time around the elections. So we look forward to having you actually here in person then.
Well, thank you, Brian. I want to thank very much the Association of the Optometry of Ireland and for their support to the Academy. And also, believe me, it will be my pleasure to be in Dublin 2022. I look forward to being there.
Thank you very much, Massimo. It's been lovely speaking to you. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll speak again soon, okay?
Buongiorno, and thank you so much for your wonderful interview, and wishing you all the best in your coming presidency. We're really looking forward to having you here in Ireland, please God, in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And I'm just listening to your interview was absolutely fascinating.
Thank you very much.
I think the presidency is in extremely good hands.
Well, thank you.
Again.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me. It was a pleasure being here and talking to Martin. Of course, I know him quite well, but it's the first interview that I make to a different country that is not Italy or that is not just generally speaking Europe.
It's very good. It's excellent. Thank you again.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Massimo.